Today, we're going to discover the story of Luna, the Midnight Whisper, from Seattle, Washington. There's an ancient saying that goes, "In the eyes of a beloved companion, we find not just affection, but a mirror of our own capacity to love without conditions, to trust without questions, and to find joy in the simplest moments of existence." Love arrives in many forms, sometimes in ways we never expect, and often when we need it most. It comes with soft paws and gentle purrs, with knowing glances and quiet companionship. It transforms ordinary houses into homes and turns fleeting moments into treasured memories. This is a truth the Martinez family discovered on a rainy October evening in Seattle, when a small shadow slipped into their lives and changed everything. The Pacific Northwest autumn had settled over the city with its characteristic persistent endless sheets of rain, drumming against windows, the sky a perpetual canvas of gray. Maria Martinez had just finished her shift at the local bookstore, her umbrella doing little to shield her from the slanting rain as she hurried down the residential street toward home. The streetlights cast golden pools on the wet pavement, and in one of those pools, she saw something that made her stop mid-stride. A tiny black cat, no more than a few months old, sat huddled against the brick wall of an apartment building. She was absolutely soaked, her fur plastered to her small frame, making her look even tinier than she was. But it wasn't the pitiful sight that caught Maria's attention, it was the cat's eyes. Large, luminous green eyes that seemed to glow in the lamplight, fixed directly on Maria with an intensity that was impossible to ignore. "Hey there, little one," Maria whispered, crouching down despite the rain soaking through her jeans. The kitten didn't run. Instead, she let out the smallest, most delicate meow, barely a sound, just a whisper of a cry that somehow carried more meaning than any loud wail could have. Maria looked around, hoping to see a worried owner searching nearby, but the street was empty. The rain poured down, and the kitten remained perfectly still, those green eyes never leaving Maria's face. It was as if she was asking a question, waiting for an answer only Maria could give. The decision made itself. Maria opened her jacket and gently scooped the wet kitten inside, feeling the tiny body shivering against her chest. "Come on," she murmured. "Let's get you home." The walk to the Martinez apartment took only 5 more minutes, but in that time, Maria felt the kitten's shivering gradually subside. By the time she unlocked the front door and stepped into the warm, cozy space she shared with her husband David and their 8-year-old daughter, Emma the kitten had begun to purr, her sound so soft it was almost imperceptible, like the whisper of distant thunder. "Mum," Emma looked up from her homework at the kitchen table, her eyes widening. "Is that a cat?" David emerged from the home office, his reading glasses perched on his nose. "Maria. What, I found her," Maria said simply, carefully extracting the damp kitten from her jacket. "She was alone in the rain. We can't just, look at her." And they did look. The kitten sat in Maria's hands, no bigger than a softball, her black fur still wet and spiky, her oversized ears twitching at every sound. But those remarkable green eyes surveyed the warm apartment with a mixture of curiosity and something that looked remarkably like relief. Emma was already on her feet, approaching slowly with the careful reverence children reserve for the truly precious. "She's so small," she breathed. "Can we keep her, please?" David and Maria exchanged a glance. One of those wordless conversations that happen between people who've shared their lives for over a decade. They'd talked about getting a pet before, but the timing had never felt right. Now, looking at this bedraggled little creature who had somehow found them on a rainy night, the timing felt perfect. "We should check if she's microchipped," David said practically, but there was already a softness in his voice. "Take her to the vet. Make sure she's healthy." Put up some found cat posters. Of course, Maria agreed, though they all knew what the outcome would be. This kitten had chosen them, just as surely as they were choosing her. That first night, they dried her off with soft towels, and as the black fur fluffed up, they discovered she wasn't entirely black. There was a small white patch on her chest, shaped almost like a crescent moon. Emma, who loved anything to do with space and astronomy, clasped her hands together with delight. "Luna," she declared. Her name should be Luna, because of the moon on her chest, and because she found us at night. The kitten Looney tilted her head at the sound of her new name, and for a moment, in the warm glow of the living room lamps, her eyes caught the light in such a way that they seemed to shine like twin moons themselves. She opened her mouth and made that same soft sound, that gentle whisper of a meow that had first captured Maria's heart. "Luna, it is," David said softly, reaching out to scratch behind one oversized ear. Luna leaned into his touch, and her purr, still so quiet, intensified just enough that they could all hear it, a contented rumble that seemed too big for such a small body. That night, they set up a cozy bed in the corner of Emma's room. Complete with a soft blanket and a small stuffed mouse they picked up from a late-night convenience store run. But Luna had other ideas. As soon as the lights went out, she emerged from Emma's room like a tiny shadow, padding silently through the apartment until she found Maria and David's bedroom. Without hesitation, she hopped onto their bed, impressive leap for such short legs, and settled herself right between their pillows. Her purr the only sound in the darkness. "I guess she knows where she belongs," Maria whispered, gently stroking the soft fur. David chuckled quietly. "Welcome home, Luna." And in that moment, on that rainy October night in Seattle, the Martinez family became complete. They didn't know it yet, but they had just welcomed a cat who would become so much more than a pet. A silent confidant, a gentle guardian, a midnight whisper of comfort who would weave herself into the fabric of their daily lives until they could remember what home had felt like without her. The vet visit came 3 days after that rainy night, and it revealed that Luna was approximately 3 months old, healthy despite her time on the streets, and utterly unafraid of the world around her. Dr. Richardson, who had been caring for Seattle's pets for over 20 years, remarked that she'd never seen such a calm kitten during an examination. "Most cats this age are climbing the walls in here," she said with an amused smile, watching as Luna sat perfectly still on the examination table, her green eyes observing everything with regal composure. "This one acts like she's visiting a spa." When Dr. Richardson checked for a microchip and found none, when the found cat posters Maria dutifully put up around the neighborhood yielded no responses, it felt like confirmation of what they'd known all along. Luna was meant to be theirs. As weeks turned into months, Luna revealed herself to be a cat of peculiar habits and remarkable intelligence. The family quickly discovered that her soft meows weren't a sign of timidity. They were simply her preferred method of communication. While other cats might yowl or screech, Luna spoke in whispers, earning her the nickname that would eventually become part of her identity, the Midnight Whisper. It was David who first noticed Luna's uncanny sense of timing. He worked from home as a software developer, often losing track of time during intense coding sessions. But every day at exactly 12:30 p.m., Luna would appear at his office door. Not with a demanding meow, but with that gentle whisper of sound, just loud enough to catch his attention. She would sit in the doorway, tail curled around her paws, and fix him with those luminous eyes until he got up for lunch. "She's more reliable than my phone alarm," David told Maria one evening, shaking his head in wonder. "I've tested it. I've deliberately ignored her a few times to see what she'd do. She'll wait for exactly 5 minutes, then come closer and whisper again. If I still don't move, she'll jump onto my desk and very gently, very politely place one paw on my keyboard." Maria laughed. "She's managing you. She absolutely is," David agreed, reaching down to scratch Luna's head as she wound between his legs. "And I don't mind one bit." Emma, meanwhile, discovered that Luna had a playful side that emerged in the most delightful ways. The cat, who seemed so dignified and composed during the day, transformed after sunset into an acrobatic shadow, racing through the apartment in bursts of frenetic energy that the family came to call her Midnight Zoomies. One particular evening stood out in Emma's memory forever. She was 10 by then, working on a science project about nocturnal animals, papers and photos spread across the living room floor. Luna had been sleeping on the back of the couch, seemingly dead to the world, when suddenly, as if possessed by some wild spirit, she launched herself into the air, twisted mid-flight like a tiny ninja, and landed in the middle of Emma's project with perfect precision, scattering papers in every direction. For a moment, there was silence. Then Luna looked up at Emma with an expression that could only be described as pure mischief. Her pupils dilated wide in the lamplight, her tail puffed up to twice its normal size. She crouched low, wiggled her haunches, and then took off like a shot, racing around the living room in figurettes, bouncing off furniture with the grace of a parkour expert. Emma dissolved into giggles, and soon the whole family was laughing as Luna performed her elaborate routine, leaping from the couch to the bookshelf, to the top of the refrigerator, and back again. The grand finale came when she skidded to a stop right in front of Emma, flopped onto her back, and looked up with those big green eyes as if to say, "Did you see what I just did? Wasn't it amazing?" "You're crazy," Emma told her affectionately, rubbing Luna's belly. Luna's only response was a soft, whispery purr. But perhaps the most significant memory, the one that truly revealed Luna's extraordinary nature, came during the winter of her first year with the family. Maria's father had passed away that December, a loss that hit her hard. The man who had taught her to love books, who had always believed in her dreams, was suddenly gone. The grief felt overwhelming, a weight that pressed down on her chest and made even simple tasks feel impossible. For days, Maria moved through the apartment like a ghost, going through the motions of daily life while feeling numb inside. She would sit on the couch in the evenings, staring at nothing, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. Luna noticed. She didn't approach with her usual playfulness. Instead, she moved with deliberate gentleness, jumping onto the couch and settling herself in Maria's lap with careful precision. And then, she did something she had never done before, and would rarely do. Again, she reached up with one soft paw and very gently touched Maria's face, right where a tear had traced a path down her cheek. Maria looked down, meeting those knowing green eyes, and felt something crack open inside her chest. Luna held her gaze for a long moment, then settled down more firmly in Maria's lap, purring. Not the soft whisper purr she usually made, but a deeper, more resonant sound that vibrated through Maria's entire body like a healing frequency. "Thank you," Maria whispered, her voice breaking. Luna closed her eyes and purred louder, as if to say, "I'm here. I've got you." For the next 2 weeks, Luna rarely left Maria's side. She slept on Maria's pillow at night, her warm body pressed against Maria's cheek. She followed her from room to room during the day, a silent black shadow offering wordless comfort. When Maria finally felt ready to laugh again, to engage with life again, Luna was there for that too, bringing her favorite stuffed mouse as an offering, as if to say, "Welcome back." David watched all of this with quiet amazement. "She knew," he told Emma one evening as they prepared dinner while Maria napped with Luna curled against her. "She knew exactly what your mum needed, and she gave it to her." Emma nodded solemnly, wise beyond her years. Luna is special. She really is. As Luna grew from kitten to cat, her personality deepened and her quirks became even more endearing. The family discovered she had a fascination with running water, not drinking from it, as many cats do, but sitting beside the sink and watching it flow with the focused intensity of a Zen master in meditation. She would sit there for minutes at a time, occasionally reaching out one paw to touch the stream, her expression one of complete contentment. They learned that she had favorite spots in the apartment for every time of day. Morning sun, the windowsill in the kitchen, where she could watch the Seattle streets wake up below. Afternoon, the top of the bookshelf in the living room, where she could survey her domain from above. Evening, the back of the couch, where she could be near the family without demanding attention. And at night was when she truly lived up to her name. The midnight whisper would make her rounds, padding silently through the apartment, checking on each family member. She would pause at Emma's door, slipping inside to touch her nose to Emma's sleeping face before moving on. She would stop by David's office, where he often worked late, and deliver one of her gentle meows to remind him it was time for bed. And always, she would end her night between Maria and David's pillows. A warm, purring presence that made the darkness feel less dark. There was the time she caught her first Martha feat of remarkable athleticism that involved her leaping nearly 6 feet straight up to snatch the insect from the air mid-flight. The family had been watching a movie when Luna suddenly rocketed off the couch like a furry missile, executed a perfect aerial maneuver that would have made Olympic athletes weep with envy, and landed with the moth held gently in her mouth. She promptly brought it to Emma and deposited it at her feet with a proud little trill, her version of "Look what I did." There was the time Emma had a fever, confined to bed, and miserable, and Luna stationed herself at the foot of Emma's bed for 2 entire days, leaving only for food and the litter box before returning to her post. Every time Emma stirred, Luna would lift her head, those green eyes checking to make sure everything was okay. There was the time David spilled an entire cup of coffee across his keyboard, ruining hours of unsaved work, and Luna appeared at his elbow moments later with her favorite crinkle ball in her mouth, an offering. A distraction, a reminder that there were more important things than work disasters. Each memory, each moment, wove itself into the story of Luna's life with the Martinez family. She wasn't just a pet who lived in their home. She was a member of the family who participated in their lives, who understood their rhythms and routines, who offered comfort when needed and companionship always. By the time Luna celebrated her 2nd birthday, marked with a special can of tuna and a new feather toy that sent her into delighted zoomies, the Martinez family couldn't imagine their home without her. She had transformed from a rain-soaked kitten to a sleek, graceful cat whose midnight black coat shone with health and whose green eyes still held that same luminous quality that had first captured Maria's heart. "Remember when you found her?" Emma asked Maria on that birthday evening, watching as Luna batted her new toy around the living room with impressive focus. "Of course," Maria said softly. "I think about it all the time. What if I had walked down a different street that night? What if I had been in too much of a hurry to stop?" "But you didn't," David said, wrapping an arm around his wife's shoulders. "You stopped. You looked into those eyes, and you knew." "I knew," Maria agreed. Luna, as if sensing she was the topic of conversation, paused in her play and looked over at them. For a moment, she held their collective gaze, her expression somehow both wise and mischievous. Then she whispered that soft meow, picked up her toy, and brought it to Emma's feet, an invitation to play, to celebrate, to be present in this moment of love and family. Today, at 4 years old, Luna is no longer the tiny kitten who fit in Maria's jacket pocket. She has grown into a stunning cat, her black coat lustrous and healthy, her white chest patch still shaped like a crescent moon, her green eyes as luminous and knowing as ever. She moves through the Martinez apartment with the quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly where she belongs and who she belongs to. The morning routine in the Martinez household has become a sacred ritual, one that revolves entirely around Luna's preferences. She wakes before the alarm always and begins her morning duties with the precision of a drill sergeant. First, she visits Emma, now 12, and increasingly reluctant to leave her warm bed on school mornings. Luna has perfected the art of the gentle wake-up call. She pads across Emma's body with careful steps, positions herself on Emma's chest, and touches her nose to Emma's nose while delivering the softest of meows directly into her face. It's impossible to ignore and impossible to be annoyed by. "Good morning, Luna," Emma mumbles every day, automatically reaching up to scratch behind Luna's ears. Luna purrs her approval, then moves on to the next item on her agenda. David gets the desk treatment. Luna jumps onto his nightstand and very deliberately knocks his phone just far enough that he has to actually wake up to retrieve it. She never knocks it onto the floor, mind you, just to the edge. It's a subtle art form she's perfected over years of practice. Maria, however, gets the special treatment. Luna saves her for last, curling up beside her on the pillow and purring directly into her ear until Maria wakes with a smile, her first thought not of her to-do list or work stress, but of this warm, loving creature who has made it her life's work to make sure the family starts each day together. "What would we do without you?" Maria asks every morning, and every morning, Luna responds with that characteristic soft meow that sounds like a whisper of wind through trees. Breakfast time is a production. Luna doesn't just eat her food, she has specific requirements. The bowl must be in exactly the right spot, filled to the correct level, not too full, not too empty, and the family must be present. She won't eat alone. It's as if she views mealtimes as a communal activity, something to be shared. She'll eat a few bites, then walk away to check that everyone else is eating too, then return to her bowl with satisfaction. She's making sure we're all taking care of ourselves, David observes one morning, watching as Luna makes her rounds before settling down to finish her breakfast. She's the glue that holds us together. It's true. Luna has become the central figure around which the family's daily life revolves. When Emma practices violin in her room, Luna is there, sitting on the bed with her eyes half closed, apparently enjoying the music. When David takes his afternoon walk around the neighborhood for exercise, Luna waits at the door for his return, greeting him with a special trill she reserves just for these moments. When Maria curls up with a book on Sunday afternoons, her favorite way to relax, Luna is there within minutes, settling into her lap with the satisfied air of someone who has exactly where they're supposed to be. The family has learned Luna's entire vocabulary over the years. There's the food, whisper slightly more urgent, with a questioning lilt at the end. There's the play, whisper shorter, repeated in quick succession, usually accompanied by the bringing of toys. There's the something's wrong whisper but distinct, with a note of concern that sends them immediately to investigate, usually a spider that needs to be removed or a door that needs to be opened. And there's the comfort whisper, the softest of all, reserved for moments of closeness and love. The sound she makes when she's curled up with one of them and everything is right in her world. She has also developed an uncanny ability to sense when someone needs her. Last month, when Emma came home in tears after a difficult day at school, friend drama, and the particular cruelties that 12-year-olds can inflict on each other, Luna appeared in her room before Emma had even fully closed the door. She jumped onto the bed, positioned herself in Emma's lap, and began purring, looking up at Emma's face with such obvious concern that Emma found herself telling Luna everything, all the hurt and confusion pouring out, while Luna listened with patient attention. "She's better than a therapist," Emma told her parents later that evening, Luna still curled protectively in her arms. "She doesn't try to fix things or tell me what to do. She just is there. That's her gift," Maria said softly. "She knows exactly what we need. Sometimes before we know it ourselves." David has taken to calling Luna his co-worker, since she spends most of his workday in his office. She has a favorite spot on top of his filing cabinet, where she can watch him work while also keeping an eye on the birds outside the window. On video calls, she occasionally makes guest appearances, walking across his keyboard at the most inopportune moments, or appearing suddenly in the background like a dignified black spectre. His colleagues have all come to know her, and meetings often begin with someone asking, "How's Luna today?" The family has also discovered that Luna has strong opinions about household decisions. When they were considering new furniture last year, they brought home fabric samples to test. Luna systematically rejected 3 of them by simply refusing to sit on them. But when they tried the 4th option, a soft, dark grey microfiber, she immediately claimed it, settling down with such obvious satisfaction that the decision was made. "She's essentially interior decorating now," David said with amusement. Watching Luna knead the fabric sample with her paws, purring loudly. "She has excellent taste," Maria countered. And indeed, when the new couch arrived, Luna approved immediately, claiming her spot on the back within minutes of its delivery. Now, in the quiet moments of evening, when the dinner dishes are done and the family gathers in the living room, Luna moves among them like a benediction. She might start on the couch with Emma, staying just long enough for some scratches behind the ears. Then she moved to David's lap for a few minutes of serious petting. Finally, she settled with Maria, curling into that perfect cat circle, her purr a constant vibration of contentment. These are the moments the Martinez family treasures most. Not the big events or special occasions, but these simple evenings when they're all together. When Luna's presence transforms a regular Tuesday night into something sacred, she has taught them to notice these moments, to appreciate the everyday magic of companionship and love. "Do you remember when she was so small she could fit in one hand?" Emma asks sometimes, marveling at the sleek, healthy cat Luna has become. "I remember thinking she might not make it through that first night," Maria admits. "She was so wet and cold and tiny. Look at her now," David says with pride. "Ruling the household like the queen she always knew she was." Luna, hearing her name, opens one eye to regard them. That eye catches the lamplight and glows green-gold for a moment, and in it, they can see everything she is. Dignified and playful, independent and devoted, mysterious and completely transparent in her affection for them. She yawns, showing tiny white teeth, then closes her eye again and purrs louder, as if to say, "Yes, I am magnificent. Now stop talking and let me sleep." The Martinez family has learned so much from Luna over these 4 years. They've learned that family is not always about blood, sometimes it's about choosing to love and be loved. They've learned that the smallest creatures can have the biggest hearts, and that true companionship doesn't require words. They've learned to slow down and appreciate quiet moments, to find joy in simple routines, to offer comfort without being asked. Luna has taught them about resilience, how a cat who survived alone on the streets could grow into such a loving, trusting companion. She's taught them about presence, how just being there for someone, sitting beside them in their pain or their joy, can mean everything. She's taught them about living in the moment, how every sunrise is a new adventure, Every feather toy, a potential thrill, every lap, a perfect place to rest. Looking forward, the Martinez family sees many more years of memories to create with Luna. There will be more morning wake-up routines and more evening cuddle sessions. There will be more midnight zoomies and more dignified naps in sun patches. There will be more moments of Luna somehow knowing exactly when someone needs her, appearing like magic to offer her special brand of whiskered comfort. Emma is already planning Luna's 5th birthday party. Yes, the cat has birthday parties now, complete with special treats and new toys. David is already saving up for a cat tree to go by his office window. One where Luna can observe her kingdom while keeping him company during work. Maria has already picked out next year's Christmas present for Luna, a heated bed for those cold Seattle winters. Because, even though Luna still sleeps between their pillows most nights, she deserves options. They imagine lazy Sunday mornings that stretch into afternoon, with Luna sprawled across someone's lap while the rain patters against the windows, because this is Seattle, after all, and rain is as much a part of their story as Luna herself. They imagine Emma coming home from high school, then college, and Luna being there to greet her, a constant in a changing world. They imagine growing older alongside this remarkable cat who entered their lives on a rainy night and never left. "We are so lucky," Maria says often, usually while scratching Luna's chin and watching those green eyes close in bliss. And it's true. They are lucky that Maria walks down that particular street on that particular night. Lucky that she stopped and looked down. Lucky that a tiny black kitten with enormous eyes chose to trust them. But perhaps Luna would say she's the lucky one. Having found a family who loves her completely, who understands her whisper-soft communication style, who gives her the freedom to be herself, both the dignified midnight shadow and the silly acrobat. Both the fierce hunter of moths and the gentle comforter of hurting hearts. In the end, Luna is more than a pet, more than a companion. She is a member of the Martinez family, as essential to the household as any human. She is the soft purr in the darkness, the warm weight in a lap, the gentle whisper reminding them that they are loved. She is home, and they are her home. And together they have created something beautiful, a bond that transcends species. A love that asks for nothing and gives everything. So here's to Luna, the midnight whisper, from Seattle, Washington. Here's to the countless mornings she wake them with her gentle insistence. To the countless evenings she spend curled in their laps. To the countless moments of magic she bring to ordinary days. Here's to the journey they're still traveling together, to all the memories yet to be made, to the beautiful life they share. She is cherished, she is loved, she is exactly where she belongs. And every night, when the lights go out and the world grows quiet, Luna makes her rounds one last time, checking on Emma, reminding David it's time for bed. Settling finally between Maria's and David's pillows, and her soft, whispery purr is the last sound they hear before sleep claims them. It's a sound that says everything that matters. I'm here, you're safe, we're home.